This video is brought to you by Astronix Test Systems. In this video, I'm going to show you how to upgrade the firmware on your R8000 series service monitor. First, we'll need to start out by finding out what version is currently installed on the instrument. This can be accomplished by selecting the blue Settings button and then pressing the vertical soft key labeled About. You'll see that the instrument that I'm working with has version 4.1.0.0. Firmware updates come out multiple times a year and add new functionality or improvements to the instrument. To find the latest firmware update, you can go to the website, freedomcte.com, select Upgrades, and as you can see here, the upgrades are applicable to all of the instruments in the R8000 series, whether it's the R8000A, B, or C, the R8100, the R8200, or the radio test hub, the R8xxx. If you would like to be notified when new firmware becomes available, there is a Stay Updated link. You can register your email address and you will receive an email when new firmware becomes available. Next, you will need to find your system version under the Current System Version column of the table. And just keep in mind that if you are multiple versions behind, you will have to install them in the correct order, starting from your current system version up to the latest. In my case, version 4.1.0.0, as of the recording of this video, is the latest publicly available update, and so you can see it says no update necessary. Now, I happen to have access to 4.2, which will be released at the same time as this video, so I'm going to perform the 4.2.0.0. But you would find the version that matches your instrument. Click to download the firmware payload, which is a zip file. You can also find the written instructions, and these videos that I'm recording now will be available on a link to the right. In my case, I've already downloaded the correct version, and I'm going to bring that over here on the screen. There you go. When you open the zip file, this is very important. As you've noted with the title of this video, this is for non-OS firmware upgrades. There are two different types of upgrades. This specific method of upgrade is for non-operating system upgrades, and the way you can identify those is once you open up the zip file, you will find a Freedom folder, or in the much older firmware versions that said GD-SATCOM, and then you will find a file that either has a .cmd ending or it tells you that it's a Windows command script. If you see these two files, this folder and this file, then this is the correct video. However, I'm going to pull in a different window. If when you open the zip file, you see something called an ISO archive or .iso at the end of the file, and then an application .exe called Rufus with a version after it, you will need to use a different method for installing that. That'll be in a separate video. So again, if you open the zip file for the version that corresponds to your current system version and you see a file named Rufus and an ISO archive, do not continue with this video. Look for the other video, which will be available. So then, once I am sure that I have the correct type of upgrade, I'm going to take the contents of that zip file simply by selecting and dragging, and I've brought in my USB drive here, and I'm going to drag these two files, or this folder and this file, down onto my USB drive, and you can see it's copying those over. This style of upgrade is usually much smaller than the OS upgrades, so it will take longer to do the others. Now that I have the contents of that moved over, I can get rid of the zip file. Now, the upgrade is not yet ready to be installed. What you have to do is double-click on the Windows command script file, and it will pop up a black window, which I'm going to try to pull over before it goes away. It's copying two files from one folder to another, and then it'll go away automatically. Now, you can confirm that it did its job by selecting the Freedom folder, going into the R8000 folder, and you'll see there are two folders here. The simple folder named Update is where the two files are copied from this other folder into this folder. So if you open up the Update folder, you will see two different files there. One of them is the actual payload. The other one is what we call a checksum to verify that there hasn't been any file corruption, so that the unit will check it and not apply it if it's been corrupted. So now that we have assurance that the file has been deposited on the drive, you should eject the thumb drive properly to make sure you don't corrupt it. In this case, I'm going to eject my E drive, and then move the USB drive from the computer to the instrument. Now that I've inserted the thumb drive into the instrument, I'm going to wait a few seconds for the drive to be recognized. If the drive has an LED, wait for it to stop flashing. Now we're going to press search for update, and it will look in that specific folder we talked about for those two files and let us know if there's an update that's applicable to the current version. Pressing search for update, it says action required, software update found. An applicable update has been found. Do you want to apply it? At this point, if you do want to apply it, you're going to hit continue. When you do, it's going to start copying those files over to the instrument. It looks like it's not doing anything, but at this point you should leave it alone until it finishes copying, and once it's finished copying, it will come back up and tell you action required, the update has been transferred. Unplug all USB devices, and then the instrument is going to restart itself at that point. I will lose my remote connection to the instrument, but once it comes back up, I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click continue. There we go. The instrument has started rebooting, so my remote connection has gone away. The update is now complete. Now, some updates will automatically reboot to a working state. In the case of this particular update, it has to reflash FPGAs, and it will display instructions on the screen for powering it off and back on in order to complete the update. Now that the instrument is back up and I've reconnected to the remote front panel, let's go check the system version. Settings, About. You can see that the instrument now has version 4.2.0.0. Now, if you're interested to find out what is in this particular version, if you go back to the website and down below the Stay Updated link, there's a Notes and Change Log. This particular document tracks all of the various new features and improvements, and also the system versions that are in the particular release. And if I minimize this again, those version numbers are available here with the vertical soft key labeled versions. If you want to double check what's in the release notes or in the change log, those should all match. And also the different digital protocols might have updates in them as well. And again, the file will tell you what the improvements are, what the new features are. If new optional features have been added, then those will have to be enabled. Optional features, you can see the options under Settings and Options, and this shows you all of the available options and which ones are enabled and not. By contacting our sales department and placing a PO, we can even accept credit card. You can get an option key to unlock a feature. It's 16-digit hexadecimal code that you enter here, which will turn on an option. On behalf of the Freedom team at Astronics Test Systems, thank you for watching this video.